Thank you. Everyone having a good time? Yeah? Hey! Good.
After producer Susan's typically terrific and eclectic music selections, of which there will be more next Saturday, we listened to Sydney guitarist, roots artist, blues artist Richard Madden with his version, as you heard, of Jimi Hendrix's A Little Wing. That's from a live album featuring Richard Madden and his band called Get a Load of This. And a couple of weeks ago, I had a chat to Richard Madden about this album, which was recorded some years ago, in fact, in 2008, with an all-star band, fantastic band, but it has only just been released towards the end of last year. Here's the first part of my chat with Richard Madden. Richard, thank you so much for joining me this weekend on Dirt Music.
Good to be here, Stuart. Thanks for having me.
Now, you and I have had a few conversations over the last couple of years, and one thing that that interests me is you've said that you're not, I mean, people think of you, they go, you know, he's a roots musician, he's a blues player. You know, you don't see yourself as a blues purist?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
The blues is the foundation of what I do, and I just look to expand it to other areas, you know. So if you listen to my music, it's sort of, the blues is an influence, but there's other influences there, like a bit of country, a bit of folk. So it's more of an expansive thing.
And there's some noisy rock elements.
And of course, there's some rock and roll in there as well.
And so is that what you grew up with? I mean, did you grow up with that, you know, mixture of things around you? Or?
Absolutely. So the first things, I always say, the guys that taught me how to play guitar were Angus and Malcolm Young.
All right.
So it was AC/DC that got me into music, really. And all those early records with Bon Scott, I absorbed, listened to, learnt back to front, you know. So that was the foundation for me. And then it was sort of Led Zeppelin, Cream, Eric Clapton, all that kind of stuff. And then going back to the original guys like your Howlin' Wolves and, you know, Son House and all that kind of stuff. So then I could kind of, you know, form my own musical personality from all those different various artists.
Mm-hmm. And no punk rock period?
There's a bit of punk in there somewhere, not too much, but there is a bit there.
Yeah, so I mean, listening to, you know, your recordings, I mean, I think sometimes there's a little bit of that attitude.
The punk attitude. Yeah, there's definitely the attitude is there. I like that punk attitude, you know, but I'm not exactly the New York Dolls or anything like that. But you know, I appreciate it. I appreciate that sort of stuff.
And do you think, you know, with the blues, I mean, one of the things that seems to me that is important is that it does keep reinventing itself, and you know, because you know, there's certain elements of, you know, blues music which, you know, to most ears are reasonably repetitive, and we've kind of heard it before. I mean, is that something that's important to you to meld new things into it?
It has to for me.
Yes.
You know, I can't sort of, you know, do a copy of a copy. It has to take me somewhere different, and I have to add something new to it. Like even on my first record, Force of Nature, there's a couple of Elmore James songs on there, but I've written completely different music on there, and I've just swiped the words basically.
Right.
So it's its own different song. It's a different tune, but I'm just using their words as a, you know, just to be. You know, making people aware of, you know, this is a bit of a variation on the theme.
Mm-hmm. And I'm interested, you know, you're very much like me. I mean, you came to blues through probably the British blues invasion. I mean, for me it was principally, you know, someone I still listen to an enormous amount, John Mayall.
Oh yes.
But was it kind of strange when you actually heard the real deal stuff? And
I remember I was about 16. I was with one of my mates, and you know, we were in that sort of Metallica, Van Halen period. So we're all like, you know, black shirts, long hair, and all that. And on CD they reissued the Robert Johnson complete recording. So I got that, and I remember playing it like when we got home, and he said, "Oh man, you got ripped off, man. That sounds terrible," because it's all sort of, you know, like that old crinkly recording, just with one guy in a hotel room singing his heart out. I really loved it, by the way. His opinion didn't mean so much to me. He was listening to his Van Halen, but I really liked the Robert Johnson stuff. Really got hooked into it. Just started listening to it. Come with 2 CDs, so I listened to those back to front, and tried to learn all that sort of stuff. So Yes, yeah. The introduction came from, you know, John Mayall, Cream, all that sort of stuff. But then you dive back and then you learn those songs like Come in My Kitchen, Sweet Home Chicago, all that kind of stuff. So, and still to this day, I mean, I can still put those records on and get some sort of inspiration out of them.
And jumping way forward, but then back a little bit, your new record is comparatively new, but it's also a slightly older recording.
It is. Now, when we were doing the last record, I found this multi-track live recording that we did for the launch of my record. And it was just on a DV, didn't have a label on it. I'm thinking, what's this? I completely forgot about it, but it was multi-track recorded. And then I sent it over to an engineer friend, and I said, can you just mix this roughly, see what we've got there? And then I worked out, wow, this is a pretty good recording. I had it in my head that it was a pretty good night, but I'd never heard it. So hearing it, then I sort of then compiled, you know, the running order, what we needed to put in on there, and you know, it was such a great band, a 10-piece band. I've got, you know, wingman, Curtis is a great drummer on my left I've grown up with, and then the other wingman is Clayton Dolly on my right. I really couldn't go wrong, really. And then you got horns at the back and a couple of girls backing singers and harp players and all that kind of stuff was all happening. But it just made for a very dynamic night.
And a big band like that, is that something obviously you love doing?
I wish I could do it all the time. I just can't afford 10 guys with me every time. But, you know, to do it for a one-off, for a launch, it was like a real dream come true, just to kind of assemble that calibre of musicians all on the one stage, and, you know, and play a good show. It was fantastic.
And the album comes with, you know, you've done a lavish-looking book to come with it.
Yeah, well, I thought, well, it has to be something a bit different nowadays. You can't just sort of release a CD, because CDs are on their way out. We all know that. I still like them, but, you know, each to their own. But I thought, well, how about we package it with, you know, a photo album book, and just has it a companion, so you can sort of flick through it and see, you know, what was happening on stage as you're listening to the recording. So we had enough photos there to compile a 34-page book, and I think it looks good, and it's a bit different to your kind of standard release nowadays, you know. So,
and a snapshot in time, or does it reflect war? You know, you've got a show coming up in Sydney at the Vanguard. Am I right in thinking it's about the 26th of February?
You're spot on.
Am I spot on? That's even better.
And I'll give you this bit of info. It's the day before my birthday, so it's going to be a birthday bash one.
Right, and are you going to up the ante and have an 11-piece band this
time?
time?
I wish I could afford an 11-piece band. No, it will be a much more... what's the term? Smaller like ensemble this time. It's probably going to be a 4-5 piece.
Right. Okay. And a particular, you know, playing the songs off the live record.
We will play some from all my 4 records. So there'll be a lot off Get a Load of This. There'll be songs off the first record, Force of Nature. There'll be a couple off Second Nature, but I'm going to throw in some new things that I've been working on as well. So it'll be a real, you know, conglomerate of all the things that I'm done in the past and doing in the future.
And when you look back on those records, I mean, what are the changes that you can see? I mean, can you pick? I mean, obviously you'd like to think you got better at it, right?
Yeah, I think my ears have definitely got better in the last few years, just from mixing and not playing so much. Really, really listening. So I can really hear a lot of things now, even on stuff that I'm hearing on the radio. I'm just picking out certain things. So I think that's a good thing. My ear has got a lot sharper.
Right.
I haven't sort of been playing too much because I had a bit of arthritis and all that kind of stuff. So I did have a bit of time off there for a few years. That's why there's a bit of a delay between these sort of releases. But, you know, having that time away and having a good listen to music, I'm hearing a lot more things. And I'm hearing things that I can do better in the future. Yeah.
And you're also very lucky, because a lot of people who've been playing as much music as you have over the years, they don't have better hearing, they have virtually no hearing.
Well, that's the thing, you know, but I think...
or a constant buzzing.
The thing is, though, I haven't been sort of in front of the amps for a long while, right, so maybe they've sort of, you know, healed a bit. I don't think so, but I just think I'm probably more articulate with my hearing, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe that might be a bit better description for it.
After the first part of my chat with Richard Madden, we listened to another live performance from he and his band. doing Cannonball, and then from his previous studio album, Second Nature, Richard Madden's version of a song written by Mel London, first recorded by Junior Wells back in 1960. We're talking about Messin' with the Kid. Here's the second part of my chat with Richard Madden. Listen carefully, there is a giveaway involved towards the end. And you know, we've now had, you know, a year of people being out, you know, playing again, fraught with all sorts of problems and too many people playing too many gigs and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, was that COVID period tough for you, or did it give you time to take stock and...
Look, it didn't really affect me too much. I definitely wasn't sort of looking to go out and play gigs, so, and I was waiting for the whole thing to sort of get a little bit sort of back to normal. Hard to predict, hard to say. So I was very standoffish. I was like, I could see all my friends booking shows, putting so much promo into it, getting the ticket sales, and then having to cancel and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought it's just a nightmare. I felt for them, you know what I mean? And then it's hard enough to get people to get show for one time, letting go and cancelling and getting them back there a second time. I had one person, a friend of mine, that had a show cancelled twice. So, I mean, and I think when they did the show, there was hardly anyone there anyway. So it's it's a tough call. So, so I've just sort of seen how things are going to pan out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's been tough because I think people, stopped, they didn't have that assurance that shows were going to be on. Yeah. So, and I think one thing I've noticed is that, live music is such an amazing experience, but a lot of people got used to not having it as part of their lives, and it's taking a bit longer to convince them.
Yeah, it's like we're going to sell it all back again.
Almost,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, I think nothing beats a good live band in a good venue. You know what I mean? It's a great experience.
And is touring something that you do, a lot, or is it's economically?
I think
certainly not with the 10-piece, right?
Yeah, not with the 10-piece. I'd love to go out on the road. Look, it is really sort of, financial, really. I mean, I'd love to do more of it. Like, we did have some shows booked around Force of Nature down in Melbourne, but for whatever reason, they fell through. So, something I'd definitely like to do more of in the future, if we get the opportunity.
And are you, I'm guessing, already thinking about another studio recording, or have you found all of these other tapes and bits and pieces that you...
No, I do have a big stockpile now. So so I've probably got about 60 songs ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know, I've been sort of thinking about it in my head, like, do we do a double record? No, that's too much. It's hard enough getting people to buy one of your records, let alone a double. But that's on my mind as well. So there's quite a stockpile there. Let's put it that way.
I've got another friend who I know. He's no way is he doing a double album as his next album. He's doing a triple.
Oh, see, I was going to say that as well. I was going to say I don't know whether it's going to be a double or a triple.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess in this day and age, I mean, if you can record economically, I mean, there's no reason not to, because CDs still continue to be cheap, and you can put you can put the extra stuff up. And when you get to a point, I mean, how does someone like yourself, you got 60 songs and you decide you're going to record 14? I mean, it's a process. Endlessly...
It's a process of elimination, really. I have to probably get into that zone, so once I kind of get into that zone where I think it's about time we make that record, then I'll probably the venting process will take place where I'll go, this one's higher on the list, you know what I mean? So that's my process usually of compiling an album, is just process of elimination. What is the best, what's the cream of the crop, basically? What's sitting up there that I can put out? And once it kind of gets to that kind of 40-minute stage, it's like, okay, that's an album.
Do you keep changing your mind? I mean, you must.
Yes,
I mean,
I do.
It's like asking what's your favourite song. I mean, you ask someone, they name 5 songs, and you ask them 10 minutes later, and it's another 5 songs.
I'll give you a perfect example of that. This happened this week. I'm getting the band back together, basically, for the Vanguard show. So they said, send me through a set list. So I sent one earlier in the week. By Wednesday, I'd already changed it.
Yeah.
Not drastically. It was just like, let's just change a couple of things here and this, that, and the other. So come Friday, there might be another change.
And you know, with the people, you know, working in similar terrain to you, you know, is there camaraderie? You know, is it supportive or is it pretty, you know, a bit cutthroat?
For me, I mean, it's not really a family or a community as such. That's just my personal view of it. I'm close with all my networking mates, and they're very, you know, musicians from, you know, like you know, rock bands and you know, folk guys and country guys and all that. I don't stick with, you know, like just blues guitarists, if you know what I mean. They're not my hang, if you know what I mean. So you know, I've got a lot of guys that play in cover bands too, you know what I mean, and they make a living out of that. So so having, you know, back to your question, are we a little group that hang out and talk about the wah of the whole thing? No, it's not really like that.
And obviously blues is so important to you, and it's such a significant part of what you do, and you do a lot more. I mean, is blues a little bit of a, you know, something around your neck? You know, like there's an element when in the country music world, you know, you say that an artist is country, and their brain automatically goes, they sound like this, even though there are so many things under the umbrella of country music. And sometimes I get the impression, you know, as I do, you know, talking to and working with a lot of artists that fall under the blues umbrella, that the moment you say so-and-so is a blues artist, you see the eyes blaze and go, I don't like blues. Yeah. But if you don't tell them it's blues, they go, I really like that.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, for the novice on the street, if you say, oh, what do you do? And you go, oh, I'm a blues guitarist. Bang, they already know in their brain that, you know, you're a whiskey drinking guy with a glass neck playing like slide on a porch kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's nothing like that. You know, as I said to you earlier, like, you know, I use blues as the foundation and I sort of expand on it. So, you know, you mentioned it was rocking bits and all that kind of stuff, but you know, it is a bit of a stigma, maybe, you know what I mean? Just being labelled as a blues artist or anything like that. But yeah, I'm more than that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and there aren't too many brass sections on blues records.
No, not many.
And I like brass sections.
Yeah, I do. I love them. I love brass.
It's one of the things that's always, you know, has attracted me to you. That pushing outside of that
absolutely.
stereotype.
Yeah, and then, you know, having those horns on stage on the last record, it was actually the first time I'd actually played with horns on stage. Now I've done it since a lot more, but that was the first time, and it really went well. Hence why I kept on getting back in and going, can you guys, you know, do a few more shows. So when we did that show, we did a whole bunch of shows after for Force of Nature, and we did have the horn sections there. But you know, as I say, you know, I am trying to expand it with those kind of things. You know, a bit of soul in there as well. You know what I mean?
And you're buying lottery tickets every week so that you can afford the brass section.
Exactly. Exactly, mate. Like it's you know, these 3 numbers in a supplementary aren't going to pay that, unfortunately.
All right. Well, Richard, lovely to talk to you. And
Likewise.
I think we're going to give away some.